This is your attorney, Mrs. Masters.
I don't have an attorney. Don't unlock that door. Don't you let him in here.
I'm Ned Nelson, Mrs. Masters. Van called me and asked me to come by and see you.
Nelson,
Yes.
are you in Van's firm?
No, I'm not with Van. I have a firm of my own.
Let me see.
Some things that your mother said you might want. Cigarettes, matches.
Thanks. I've been charged with murder. They've charged me with murder. I didn't kill anybody.
They know that. And I know that. And as soon as you've told your story before a judge, I'm sure this whole thing will be like a nightmare that...
You don't understand.
Your mother and Van have briefed me on the situation, or as much of it as they know. Finch and Mateo, do you remember them? Those were the two detectives who came to the house and brought you here. Have you talked to any other police officers besides them?
No, no one but them.
All right, Miss Masters. All right. I'll say this one thing to you. Make no statements of any kind to the police or to anyone else. No statements to anyone. Is that perfectly clear?
Yes.
Good. Fine. I'll consider that a solemn promise from you to me. That I know you'll keep your promise. Try to get some rest.
Hello?
This is Bradley.
Oh, thank God you've called. We've all been frantic. Hope's in desperate trouble. She's been charged with murder. Please call the Beverly Hills Police Department and tell them you exist.
I don't want to talk to the Beverly Hills Police Department. They're idiots.
But you've got to talk to them. You're Hope's only witness. She's in serious trouble. They need your testimony to clear...
I gotta go.
Don't go. Don't hang up!
Coming through here. Back up. Step back, please.
Your ex-husband supporting you in this.
Are you planning to what are you saying about the illegal in Beverly Hills? Are you planning to hire for an attorney? Is your family supporting you in
In view of the prominence of the firm and the fact that the media have already identified the firm by name and you as a senior partner in the firm, the manner in which this case is handled and by whom has a direct bearing on the reputation not only of yourself but also of the firm. With this in mind, the partners feel that it is your responsibility to the firm to see to it that the very best lawyer or lawyers available are hired to represent your stepdaughter. Partners believe you will agree that your responsibility to the firm as its senior lawyer and as a person identifiable and in fact already identified in the newspapers, etc., with the firm is such as to require that the charges against her be handled in the most delicate way and not turned over to a criminal lawyer who might be competent to handle only criminal cases. Do this. Very possibly, this is the right time for me to tender my resignation.
No. Not after all these years, not after all the hard work, no. Damn it. They can't chase you out. You're a good man. You're a wonderful, wonderful man.
Her name is Hope Masters, Shannon, and I'm so proud of her. While you sit in Chicago and feel sorry for yourself about becoming involved with me, Hope Masters is in jail and continues to be silent to protect me and give me time to run away. Wish me luck, counselor. Love and stuff.
Quickly now. All right, you there. You there, beside her, to the left. You here, behind her. Okay. All right, now we're going to go up those stairs, so let's move quickly. Faster, ladies. Come on, don't go up.
Stand on. That's it. Hold it. That's it, 2 at a time. Come on, move it along.
Inside, ladies. Line up in a straight line. Step forward. Open your mouth. Lift your tongue. Spread your legs. Wider. I'm going to release the handcuffs. When I do, put your hands to your side. Step to the counter. Step forward.
Name?
Hope Masters.
Open your mouth.
Left tongue.
Lift your tongue.
Move along. Come on, hurry up. Let's go. Step right in, ladies. Come over here. I'm going to give you a basket. Take off your clothes. Everything. Put them in the basket. You go over there to those benches. Don't all go on that side. Some go on the other side. Okay? Good for you. All right. Okay. Next, go on in. Take the shower. Go ahead. Get in the shower.
All right. Next. That's
That's it. Easy. That's it. Last finger. Okay. Over here now, one finger at a time again, starting with the thumb. Roll it. That's it. Next. Easy now.
How's this compared to Beverly Hills, huh? Society lady. Over here. Oh, snooty. Matter, girl, you too good to talk.
This is it. Step inside.
Hey, Glenn, I hear your mother's a jailbird.
What's going on?
He started it. He hit me ball in my face.
Mama,
Yes. Yes.
is that you, Mama?
Oh, yes, darling. It's your mama. Oh.
I don't have much time. Will you put Glenn on the phone, please?
Hello?
Glenn, are you all right?
Yeah. I'm all right, Mom. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine. I want you to know that, and I don't want you to worry, okay?
Sure. Sure. Okay.
Listen to me, Glenn. You've always been my sunshine boy, and I expect you to keep your brother and your sister happy until I can get back to you. Will you do that for me, Glenn?
Yeah. Sure I will, Mom.
Glenn, I love you.
We're never gonna see Mom again.
Mrs. Masters, I'm Tom Breslin from Ned Nelson's office. I'll be acting as co-counsel in this matter. I'd like you to meet Dan Ward.
Mrs. Masters.
Dan will be working with me from now on, locating possible witnesses for us as we build our defense.
Oh, please, sit down.
It's okay, Mrs. Masters. Dan spent 20 years with the police department. He's a private detective now. He's worked for me before.
I thought you were from the organization.
No.
Your friend Bradley, he talked about the organization quite a bit. Oh, I went over your statements to the arresting officers. And I'd sure like to talk to your friend about all that.
He knows a lot about them.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. Has he tried to contact you since you've been in here?
No.
Well, you can't take phone calls here.
Yes, some hours. As soon as he knows I'm here, he'll contact me.
He knows you're here.
He does?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there must be some explanation. He'll contact me. He'll get me out of this.
So he says to me, you don't have to take it there anymore.
Gentlemen, you prepared to proceed?
The state is ready, Your Honor.
Ready for the defense, Your Honor?
Hope Niven Masters. Is that your true name?
Yes, it is.
You represent Mrs. Masters?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I'm Ned Nelson.
Tom Breslin of counsel, Your Honor.
How do you plead?
We plead not guilty and request a preliminary hearing.
Very well, let's see. A week from today, 10 a.m.
Agreeable, Your Honor.
May bail be set?
The people cannot agree to bail at this point, Your Honor. This woman is accused of a brutal, cold-blooded, first-degree murder.
Your Honor is certainly aware that the proof is weak and there is no great presumption of guilt.
Your Honor, the state...
Just a second. Go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
While Mrs. Masters may not have used the best judgment, she certainly did not kill Morgan. And as soon as a man named Bradley can be located, I am confident that all the charges against her will be dismissed.
Okay, your turn.
I disagree with Mr. Nelson about the weakness of our proof and the presumption of guilt.
Your Honor...
And I seriously doubt the existence of anyone named Bradley.
And so do I. The prisoner will remain in custody.
I wish to address the court. My daughter is not well. I don't know what even a few days more in jail would do to her health. I fear for her, sir. There is indeed a man named Bradley. I have met him. I've seen him. I've spoken to him. We're trying to locate him now. If my daughter is allowed to go home today, I give you my personal guarantee that she will be back here for any and all proceedings where her presence is required. She and her children are almost entirely supported by me. She has no money to flee.
Bail is set at $50,000.
Let's just go home, okay?
Yes, we're going home. Everything will be better once you get home. Cry, that's it, don't cry.
Hello?
How are you? I know it's been tough for you. I've been thinking about you, worrying about you. I'll stick around, Hope. I'll see you out of this mess.
Oh, please do. There are people that are ready. 3 people that are ready to meet with you anywhere, anytime you say.
Yeah? Who?
Ned Nelson, he's my lawyer. And Tom Breslin, he's my lawyer, too. And you can reach them at...
I know where to call them.
And Dan Ward, he's a detective. And you can reach him at Klondike 57344.
344. I better talk to him. He'd be interested in knowing the contract on you was brought through Chicago.
God, I still can't believe someone would do that to me. I'm worried about you. I know if it wasn't for you, my children and I would be dead. I don't want you to get hurt on my account.
Hey, you take all your life, sometimes it's your turn to give. I'll talk to you later. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
You all right? Well, I got some notes here, some piece of paper. This intruder who came in. What you say here, he sounds like a dumper.
What?
A dumper. That's a guy who will savage a broad, beat her up, grab her by the hair, drag her around, real caveman stuff. Now, you think we could put your intruder in this category?
No.
Really? Tied my hands behind my back with adhesive tape. I was completely under his control. I was at his mercy. At one point, he caressed my body with his gun. So far, am I right?
Yes, but...
He put his hands on my breasts, and my thighs, and my buttocks. And he said if I screamed or tried to get the foreman, he would kill him too, and he would kill my children.
Look, I've already told you all this.
All of it?
Every bit of it.
Well, then maybe there's something you just you didn't tell me at all. Mrs. Masters, don't kid yourself. This scum, he's a dumper.
Shannon, my dearest counselor, Hope is out on bond. I was there in the courtroom to see her released. And I can only assume that my cover is excellent. My new identity above question. There I was, hand never far from my gun. Of course, poor Hope almost blew the scene when I walked into that courtroom. Only she knew the truth about me. And she just said, in so many looks, "Get." You must admit that if all goes wrong and back to my cell I go, I will have enough material to write a fair novel. And I'll be ready for your visits. Yes. Even with all that goes on around me, I do miss you a bit. But then our time will come. I am sure. If you keep the faith and remember only that I love you.
Remember only that I love you. Did you ever hear this woman calls Hope?
In the other letter, yes.
Richard Morgan found shot to death in a ranch near Springville in Tulare County, California. Did he ever mention that name to you, Morgan?
No,
Before he sent you the clip?
no,
Neither name?
no.
I see. Would you excuse us, please?
It's a nice time of year to be going to California.
The FBI looks on everyone here as part of the team. We want this man just as much as you. And no one wants him worse than Bob Swalwell of the Illinois State Police, who's been after him for a long time. Bob.
Too long. Thank you. This guy's gotten away with too much. He's ruined or ended too many lives because he's always playing his games. Would you pass these out, please? Thank you. Now, our job is to make sure that every head waiter, every desk clerk, every hotel manager has these pictures and knows what he looks like. This guy dresses the best. He can fit in anywhere he wants to. He eats the best, drives the best. But he has an uncanny ability to lay still. He is very, very smart. And he knows all the legal angles. He's a very good listener, and he's very convincing. You can walk up to him and talk to him, and he'll convince you he's not the guy you're looking for. And if that doesn't work, he'll pull out a gun and blow your head off. He's dangerous, he's quick, and he doesn't care. So watch yourselves, every minute.
Hope said you wanted to talk to me.
Yeah, I sure do. Mainly I'm interested in that intruder, the one with the goatee. 6 feet, well-built, maybe a Mexican.
That sounds about right, but there's a lot of loose ends.
Maybe you could tie some of them down for me.
The original contract was on Hope and her 2 older children. The original contractor came out here from Cleveland, but he spent his money and didn't do the job. They eliminated him a couple of weeks ago in a motel room in Los Angeles on Sunset Boulevard.
This information is very important. And obviously you could be very important to Hope's defense. What I'd like to...
We're not going to meet, Mr. Ward. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not coming to you, and you're not coming to me. We're not going to meet, ever. You tell Hope I'll stay around and see her through all this. Ward, I'm counting on you to let her know in every way possible that I'm on her side. That I'll keep in touch. That I won't disappear from her life. And Ward, tell her to kiss the kids for me.
Mrs. Masters, the police have completed their investigation of your husband. He's not involved in any way.
William's stories are all lies. There was no insurance policy. Does this information clarify anything for you? Does any of this mean anything to you?
No.
I've never heard anything so evil in my life. He's absolutely sinister, the way he plays on her deepest needs.
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Masters. Mrs. Masters, is this the man known to you as Bradley Tyler?
Yes.
I wish I could tell you this brings it all to an end, but I can't. It's not ended. I will tell you, though, that if your daughter had done anything differently, deviated in any way from the instructions he gave her, she most surely would have been killed. Now, one other thing. If you should happen to answer the phone when he calls, and believe me, he'll call. He's like a moth attracted to the flame now. Treat him exactly as he's advertised himself to you, as a man who rescued your daughter. Flatter his ego. Keep him calling. Keep him coming nearer. We'll catch him.
He's got 42 other names besides Tyler that we know about. Let's see, Greenway, Marcus, Malcolm, Painter, Stone, Smith, Johnson.
Couldn't you be mistaken?
No. No mistake. Rule of thumb. Any name that's on the credit card's his name. His real name, Mrs. Masters, is Jordan Williams. Likes to be called David Jordan Williams or D. Jordan Williams.
I know none of this can be true.
He has a wife and child back in Ohio. They're divorced now. He met her and married her when he was doing time at Ohio State Pen for armed robbery. She was the warden's private secretary. Now, it'd be funny, Mrs. Masters, the warden's secretary and all. Except he ruined her life. Can't have a real laugh about a thing like that now, can you? Now, the cops in Omaha, Nebraska would like to talk to Mr. Williams about a pair of killings there. In Ann Arbor, he's up to his favorite trick, bang on the head, credit cards. The guy in Ann Arbor's still 50-50. He's not a photographer, Mrs. Masters, or a reporter, or a world traveler. He's not anything but what I've told you.
The man you describe is not the man I know.
It's come up in conversation after conversation, and no one seems to want to talk about it. And it's going to come up again and again, and it has to be resolved one way or another. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
I don't think you do. Are you protecting this man for some reason?
No.
He's a dangerous man, Hope, whether you want to believe it or not. Oh, Van and I are terribly concerned.
What are you concerned about?
Haven't you been listening? Hope, you have to cooperate with your lawyers. Be forthright with them. Protect your family. Do you know where you're going, what you're doing?
Right now, I'm trying to get this damn thing fixed. If God and the power company will grant me that one small favor. After that, I'm going to see if Buster here can hold down some clear broth. And that's about as much of my life as I can map out for you at this particular moment.
Sarcasm will get you nowhere.
Telephone for you, Mrs. Niven.
Oh.
I'm hungry, Mommy.
I know, Tom Tom.
Oh.
I know. My father was really beautiful. When my mother divorced him, he took away some of that beauty that I'd been borrowing to get along. All I had left was big teeth with lots of spaces between them, scabby knees and stringy hair. God, I looked awful in those uniforms they made me wear to school. I hated uniforms and private schools. Roger Rigid in that order.
Roger
Van. Step-papa, a citadel of ironclad logic.
Aha.
Van and I got off on the wrong foot right from the beginning. But he was pretty wonderful in that courtroom, wasn't he?
I thought so.
So did I. You know, for a man who only wanted me to graduate from Stanford and find a husband, he sure has had his share.
You said on the phone you had something you wanted to talk over.
I got married when I was 16 years old. My groom was 19, a sophomore at SC. And very early on, I found that he would rather water the macadamia trees than let me be important to him. But I tried. I had a baby right away, and when that didn't work, I had another baby. And then I had a divorce. And then one night I met Craig, and we got married in Las Vegas. I wore this pink miniskirt and carried pink roses. And one more thing. I still carried this enormous desire, not to be just somebody's plaything, but to be a good, useful, needed person, a valuable human being. Somebody that was important to someone. And I thought I'd married this strong, caring man who was going to solve my life for me. So we had a baby real fast, and then we split real fast. Am I going too fast for you?
No.
Just offhandedly, can anyone hear us talking?
What?
Can anyone hear us out here?
Nobody can hear us.
I have something to tell you. That's why I called you today. I guess I've been trying to tell you all afternoon. Somebody has to know the truth, in case I'm killed. It's Bradley. Bradley killed Richard. He shot him.
Did you see him do it?
No, he told me about it.
Dan Ward and Ned and I have had a bet going for some time. Who would you tell first? I'm glad you told me, Hope.
I'm sorry. I led you wrong. I led everybody wrong. It's just that I was so scared. I've been so scared for so long. Scared for my kids. Scared for myself. There's something else. That night he was very wild and very violent. But later he was very gentle. What I'm trying to say is, what I want you to understand most, he isn't a dumper, Tom.
Yeah, I recognized him right away. You know what time he left the room? No, not really. What's across the hall? 10:15. Is it empty? Yeah.
D. Jordan Williams. Gotcha.
10:16, and it's very quiet right now.
Nothing here.
Nothing happening here. What do you think?
So what do you think?
He'll be here.
Have they shown you any pictures? Have they shown you any pictures?
No.
Then they don't realize you don't know who I am.
I guess so.
Has the FBI contacted you?
Listen. Be very careful. I don't want anybody to be killed because of me anymore.
I'm okay. I'll live.
We think it's gonna be a real long preliminary unless something develops.
I think something will develop.
He's here.
I read you. He's here.
Let's go.
No units are to stop the subject. Allow him to proceed to his room if possible.
Freeze! I'm gonna sleep good tonight, you no good bastard.
Then Jesus said to her, "Neither do I condemn thee. Go, sin no more." Then Jesus spake to them, saying, "I am the light of the world.
Hello?
I'm standing under a sign that says, after you're booked, ask for your phone call. Hope I get a letter from you now and then.
You will. As soon as they tell me it's all right. My My attorneys can't handle both of us. They say it's a conflict of interest or something.
Yeah, I understand that. You work it out in your best interest.
And yours?
I haven't got any more. I played the game. I lost.
I'll be thinking about you.
Thanks. Have you been protected?
Yeah. They've been watching me off and on.
I suggest they watch you a little more than off and on from now on. I can't watch you anymore.
Listen, I really appreciate the fact that you stuck this out with me. You didn't leave me in a bad spot.
Should have kept tailing around, huh?
I guess so.
I couldn't do that to you. Just couldn't do that, Hope. Look, I'm gonna let you go from now. I've had a little one.
Yes, Mr. Houston, could you give us a statement on the Masters trial indeed?
On March 2nd last, this office issued a complaint against Hope Niven Masters, charging her with violation of Statute 187 PC, murder in the first degree. Now, the arrest of David Jordan Williams does not affect the charge against Mrs. Masters. The charge still stands. Mr. Williams will be similarly charged in his arraignment. They will be co-defendants.
Mr. Houston.
No further comment at this time.
Mr. Powell here has been assigned by the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Williams. Dismissal motions? Thank you, gentlemen. I'll consider these in due course. Any pleas to submit, gentlemen? No? All right. In order to avoid any prejudicial pretrial publicity that might lead to a change in venue, I've decided to ban the public and the press from this preliminary hearing. Any other business?
Your Honor, Mr. Houston, Mr. Haley, Mr. Powell, I am withdrawing from this case, but Mr. Breslin, who, as you know, is a member of our firm, will remain and continue as counsel for Mrs. Masters. It's merely an economy measure, Your Honor, that's all.
Hope, if you smile, you look callous. If you cry, you look guilty. So just try to keep a straight face. Above all, keep your eyes off him.
¿Cómo estaba vestido el hombre?
Estaba desnudo.
He was bare.
No tenía camisa puesta.
He wore no shirt.
Estaba acostado en el piso delante de la chimenea.
He was lying on the floor in front of the fireplace.
Was he wearing pants?
Badgering.
Sit down, Mr. Breslin. Please, sit down. This is not a trial. It is a preliminary hearing to determine whether or not there is a case to be tried. That is our whole purpose. It is the business of the state to do that. Now, I'm going to overrule your objection and allow Mr. Houston one more question. Make your point or desist, okay?
Certainly, Your Honor.
May I ask her?
Ask her.
¿Y los pantalones? No tenía camisa, pero tenía pantalones.
No estoy segura. Estaba oscuro.
I'm not sure. It was dark.
Oh, it was dark, eh?
Oscuro, eh?
Sí, estaba muy oscuro. Solamente la luz de la chimenea.
Yes, very dark. Only light from the fireplace.
Was Mrs. Masters present in the room?
¿Y la señora Masters estaba en la sala?
Sí. Ella le acariciaba la espalda.
Yes, she was massaging his back.
While Mrs. Masters was massaging this man's back, did she have a nightgown on?
Mientras la señora Masters le acariciaba la espalda de este hombre, ¿tenía puesto el camisón?
No estoy segura.
I'm not sure.
No vi.
I couldn't see.
Was there music?
¿Había música?
Sí, había música.
Yes, there was music.
Thank you.
Mr. Morgan was over at the fence, sort of posing for pictures. And Mrs. Masters was talking to the man with the camera.
And what were they talking about?
Objection. Invites hearsay. Counsel has not established that the witness...
Sustained.
What was Mrs. Masters' attitude while she was talking to Mr. Williams?
Shh. Go ahead, answer.
It seemed to me like she wanted to make a good impression on him.
No? How'd you ascertain that, Mr. Lee?
She smiled at him a lot. She let him know she's got a nice hank of hair there. And, she sort of let him know she had some other equipment, too.
Other equipment?
The way a female can do, you know?
Oh, I know. I won't ask you how you ascertained that, Mr. Lee. Hope Niven Masters. A long, low blonde with a lot of speed. What kind of woman is she, Joe? What goes on in her brain? What goes on in her heart? Nothing much. When she achieves her 35th year or her mother dies, or whichever comes first, Hope Niven Masters comes into big, big bucks. Talking about the kind of money guys like you and me never see. All she has to do is wait. Boring, Joe. Then, one day, into her life steps David Jordan Williams. Hey! He hit it off. They have a few drinks, play touchy-touchy all afternoon. You read the search report. Maybe they get into some of that pot they found up there. Maybe some uppers, maybe some downers. They get to giggling. Hey, let's have some fun. What do we do for kicks? I got a hell of an idea. Why don't we blow the brains out of Richard No Middle Initial Morgan? He's a boor. He has none of the snap, crackle, and pop that D. Jordan Williams has going for him. Ned Nelson, who just quit purely as an economic measure, gets $25,000 retainer fee and $1,000 a day. I get $908 a month. Just when we won the first inning, ready to go to trial, His Holiness, our district attorney, has just turned down my third request for a 5% raise. Well, I'm turning him down, Joe. My resignation's on his desk, along with my recommendation that you represent the people in the case of David Jordan Williams and Hope Niven Masters. They're both scum, Joe. Put them away. Warehouse them. Get them off the street. So long, Joe.
This is Clete Baker at the Tulare County Courthouse. A surprising and dramatic development in the Morgan murder case today. D. Jordan Williams has made his presence felt at his trial quickly and dramatically. When the Morgan murder case was remanded to the Superior Court in Visalia, Williams refiled a motion to act as his own attorney, and the motion was granted by Judge Roy Ballantyne. Williams lost no time displaying his prowess as a lawyer. In a masterstroke of legal strategy, he promptly filed motions to suppress most of the evidence accumulated against him, and a motion to quash the arrest warrant itself. 1 hour ago, Judge Roy Ballantyne ruled out most of the physical evidence against Williams, branding it inadmissible.
Judge Ballantyne said that proper procedures were not followed by the police or other law enforcement agencies. He said that Williams became a suspect in the case only after the FBI improperly intercepted a letter or letters from Williams to a Chicago lawyer. The people will, of course, file an immediate appeal of Judge Ballantyne's ruling. Thank you very much.
I had anticipated that you would appeal, Mr. Haley. So I would think that 30 days would be time enough for the appeals court to make a decision. Mr. Breslin, we are scheduled for trial the day after this holiday. But with this appeal, of course, we will now have a continuance. You will agree to that continuance?
No, Your Honor. I cannot agree to a continuance without consulting my client.
Well, then, will you kindly contact your client and ask her to agree to a continuance?
Certainly, Your Honor.
No one home?
No one home? I am unable to reach my client, Your Honor, and I can't waive her right to a speedy trial without her permission.
Well, that puts us in something of a bind, Counselor.
I realize that, Your Honor, and I apologize. I know the co-defendant's trial is automatically postponed for 30 days because of the state's appeal, but we are willing to go to trial separately with Mrs. Masters.
Your Honor, I protest. Just a minute, Mr. Haley. What's on your mind, Mr. Breslin?
Without any evidence, the case against Williams seems to come down to one person, but she is the co-defendant. Now, if the charges against my client were dismissed...
Your Honor. Shut up, Joe. Go on.
We would be prepared to cooperate with the state. Under those circumstances, Mrs. Masters might be willing to testify as a prosecution witness.
We can't dismiss these charges against her, Your Honor.
There is no way she's going to testify unless you do. We're packed and ready. The motor's running, Your Honor. We'll go to trial on Tuesday as scheduled.
Mr. Haley?
Well, how about having her plead guilty to a lesser charge, like not calling the police?
I want all the charges against Mrs. Masters dismissed.
Not a chance. I'd consider giving her immunity if she'll testify against Williams, but...
Dismissal!
The calendar shows Judge Ginsburg's court has the next opening. So I will be on the bench for this trial. But as I see it, Mr. Haley, the thing that will convict Hope Masters is your proof that she knew Mr. Williams before he came to the ranch that day.
Do you have any evidence of that?
No, Your Honor. We have no evidence of that.
Then I don't think you'll get a conviction against her. I think you're better off getting her cooperation.
I can't testify against him.
What do you mean you can't testify against? Of course you can testify against him. You've got to testify against him.
I can't.
Why not?
I was so cold. I was just so cold. Colder than I've ever been in my life. And he started away from the bed. But he came back. And he covered me up with his blanket. I think he probably saved my life. Don't look at me like that. I promised him I'd never testify against him.
When?
That night.
That promise doesn't count. It was made under duress. You were fighting for your life that night. It wasn't a free volitional act on your part. It isn't binding.
I promised.
Now, you listen to me. You can walk out of that courtroom a free woman, no strings, free to go home and be with your kids and live your life. Don't tell me a promise made to a man like that has any validity to it. If you don't testify, you'll stand trial with him, and you could go to prison for a long, long time.
What do I do?
God would want you to tell the truth. Without any malice, without any hatred, or any feelings of revenge. The truth, as you know the truth to be.
But I can't go back on my word.
Of course you can. It's done every day. There's nothing to stop you. Or is there some kind of an impediment in your thought process that won't let you free of him? Hope. Dear God, girl. Look at it this way. If you don't testify and send him off to prison, he may still kill you.
And them.
Everyone rise, please. The Superior Court of the State of California and for the County of Tulare is now in session. Honorable Leonard M. Ginsburg, Judge presiding. Please be seated. Court's now in session.
The State versus David Jordan Williams and Hope Niven Masters.
Ready for the people.
The defense is ready.
Defense is ready.
You may call your first witness, Mr. Haley.
We call Officer Andrews.
Would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence that you shall give in the matter now pending before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Take the stand and be seated, please.
Andrews is the deputy sheriff who took
State
the
your
original
name for the
complaint.
record.
He'll give his testimony, then the people make a motion to dismiss the charges against you. And because the motion is made after the trial has begun, that is, one witness has been heard, there's no way you can be recharged or put in any jeopardy.
How long have you been a deputy sheriff with the Tulare County Sheriff's Office?
Approximately 2 years.
And were you so employed on February 27th of this year, 1973?
Yes, sir, I was.
What were your duties?
On that particular day, I was the assigned desk officer at the Porterville substation, the 4 to midnight shift.
And on that day, did you receive a call concerning a ranch in Springville?
Yes, sir, I did. Approximately 9:40 p.m.
Here she comes, guys.
Mr. Masters, how do you feel?
from him. Go ahead.
Give us a statement, Mrs. Masters. Hope, to you.
Welcome, Hope.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
The judge has ordered me to remain at the table when I question you. Staying away from you won't be easy. But I've got to do what the judge says. See you in court, Hopi.
Richard was sitting on the couch. I thought he was sleeping, so I shook him. And then this person came up behind me.
The same person who had accosted you in the bedroom.
The same person, yes.
Did you recognize this person as someone you had seen before?
No.
What happened next, Mrs. Masters?
I realized that Richard was dead, so I ran. And he was right after me, tearing at my clothes. And he caught me and threw me down on the bed, and he raped me.
Were you clothed or unclothed?
Unclothed.
Mrs. Masters, could you please speak louder so that the jury can hear you?
Unclothed,
He torn away all of your clothing.
yes.
What else? What else, Mrs. Masters?
He put his hands all over me.
Did he say anything while he was doing these things?
Yes.
What did he say?
He made some suggestions.
What did he talk about? What kind of suggestions?
Lewd.
Excuse me?
Lewd.
Lewd suggestions? Go on, please. Go on, tell the jury.
He said that if I made it enough fun for him, he might let me stay alive.
Up to this time, did you actually recognize this person?
No.
What happened next, Mrs. Masters?
He taped my hands and feet behind
Louder,
me.
please.
He taped my hands and feet behind me and left me alone. I hoped that he would leave the house. And then after a while, I fell asleep. And then he came back and put a blanket over me. And then he did something that Richard used to do all the time.
What did he do?
He put his cheek next to mine so that his mouth was near my ear, and he said, "I love you."
Mrs. Masters, did you recognize this person?
Not right away, but after a while I did.
After a while you did. Is he in this courtroom?
Yes.
Can you point him out, please?
Yes.
The defendant?
Yes.
David Jordan Williams?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Masters, this intruder. Shall we call him a person, an intruder, a stranger, or what?
Intruder.
Yes. Did this intruder rape you more than once?
Yes.
Did you sleep at all that night?
I might have for a little while.
Did the intruder sleep at all that night?
You mean this person that I'm not sure who it was?
You're shading your testimony, Hope. You're going too easy on him.
He's going easy on me.
No, he isn't.
Joe, just sit down and have a little lunch.
No, thanks. Passing it up today.
Get that out of your head right now. He's setting you up, Hope. You've got to be tougher.
How'd the defendant Williams and your children get along?
Very well.
Did he frighten them?
No.
The morning after you came back from the ranch, who fixed breakfast for the children?
You did.
And who took them to school that day?
You did.
So you were left alone in the house with your baby
Yes.
all day long?
Yes.
Tell me, Mrs. Masters, did you make any attempt to leave the house that day?
No.
About the phone? Was your phone working?
Yes.
Did you use it?
No.
If you had wanted to go somewhere, was there a car there for your use?
Yes, Richard's car was there.
You had the keys?
Yes.
Where'd your children sleep Monday night?
All in my bed. I told them to lock the door.
Once your children were all in your bed, did you make love with the defendant?
No.
Did you sleep with him?
No.
Prior to the year 1973, have you ever stayed in a hotel room with the defendant Williams?
No.
Prior to the year 1973, had you ever written to the defendant Williams?
No.
Have you ever sent him any photographs of yourself?
No.
No further questions.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, I'll call you at 8 in the morning. Yeah.
What's the matter, Jim?
Joe Haley's got bleeding ulcers. The doctor's ordered him into the hospital. That was His Holiness. He wants me to come back as special prosecutor. Only trouble is, I don't know what to charge him. I'll donate my services.
Do you recognize this letter?
Yes, I recognize it.
Do you remember when you received this letter?
No, I'm afraid I can't recall the precise date.
It was delivered through the regular mail.
Yes, as far as I know.
Did you give this letter to anyone else?
Yes, I did.
Who did you give this letter to?
Objection. Overruled.
I gave it to the law enforcement officials in Illinois through the state's attorney's office.
Has that letter been tampered with?
No, sir, not as far as I can tell.
Objection. I asked that the answer be stricken. It calls for a conclusion of the witness, and it's speculative. Overruled, Mr. Powell.
Miss Foley, do you know who wrote that letter?
Yes, I know who wrote it.
Who wrote that letter?
D. Jordan Williams.
Thank you. No further questions.
Let's take a 10-minute recess before cross-examination. You may step down.
Thank you for your testimony. You were very helpful.
I don't believe a single word that he's ever written or said. It's hard to believe anyone could. Absolutely nothing.
Where are you, Tommy? There you are. Come on, honey.
Oh, you're gonna give me a heart attack.
Oh. Lan?
Yeah,
You're in charge, all right?
I'm in charge. What about me?
Oh, okay, you're both in charge. Look after your little brother, will you?
Come on, Tommy. I'll go down first so I can catch you.
Hi.
Hi. Beautiful day to be subpoenaed.
Subpoenaed?
Witness for the defense.
He wants me to testify for him?
That's it. He's getting desperate. Hope, did you ever know him, or see him, or write to him, or talk to him, or have anything to do with him before that weekend at the ranch?
No.
Okay.
Have you seen this picture before, Mr. Franklin?
No.
One like it?
Yes. Same woman.
Where was that?
In your cell at Illinois State Prison at Joliet.
You're sure?
I'm sure. I saw it every day for a year.
Thank you. Your witness.
In your capacity as guard at Joliet, would you be able to say whether or not Mrs. Masters ever visited the defendant in prison?
Not to my knowledge.
But this is to your knowledge.
Yes.
Are you a friend of Mr. Williams?
I was one of his guards.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you if you were his friend.
Answer the question.
Yes.
Where do you live?
Elgin, Illinois.
Who paid for your trip to California?
The state of California.
Do you remember? Is this your first trip to California?
Yes.
You like it?
Yes.
Good. Do you remember seeing that picture of Mrs. Masters in Mr. Williams' cell from your own recollection, or did Mr. Williams say something to refresh your memory?
I have a very good recollection.
Thank you.
You may step down.
Defense calls Hope Niven Masters.
Hope, Nivens, Masters.
He knows he only has to get one of those jurors on his side, and he's got a mistrial or hung jury. Just one.
We admonish the witness to remember that she is still under oath. Please be seated.
Mr. Masters, you recall telling your attorney that when Bradley entered the bedroom at the ranch, after he had been raped, and after you'd found Mr. Morgan's body, that he was definitely different than the man who raped you?
I may have said something like that. I don't remember the exact words.
Was Williams entirely different than the man who raped you?
He seemed very different.
Mr. Masters, you told your attorney that you could pinpoint the time you were raped, didn't you?
I don't believe I did.
Or do you recall telling him that you were a very sound sleeper? That it was in the first hour you were asleep?
I probably said something like that. Since I was so sound asleep, I would guess it was during the first part of my sleep, which is when I sleep the most deeply.
Didn't you tell your attorney that when you awoke at 6 o'clock in the morning, you were in bed with the defendant, Williams, and Morgan's body was in the living room?
Probably something like that, yes.
And isn't it a fact that you told your attorney when Williams got into bed with you, he wrapped his arms and legs around you and went to sleep?
Not in those exact words, but that's what happened.
Isn't it also a fact that you told your attorney that Williams did not return to the ranch until Sunday morning?
I don't believe I told my attorney that. I think I said that's what you said to tell him.
Williams didn't rape you.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Mrs. Masters, you've lied, so to speak, about several facts in this case when you were first arrested and talking to your parents. Is that true?
I only lied about one thing. The identity of the person at the ranch.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
But you're not absolutely certain that he's the first person who attacked you.
No.
Now, looking at the situation now and considering it, have you changed your mind?
Your Honor, that's speculative and self-serving. She's had months to think about it. She's sworn an oath to it, and now, after cross-examination, she's going to change her mind?
Your Honor, I don't believe she's had a chance to respond to this particular question. And in light of the questioning this morning, I would like to have it clarified.
Go ahead, Mr. Eustace.
Who do you believe was the intruder at your ranch that night?
I think it might have been Mr. Williams.
Didn't you tell your attorney that it was Mr. Williams?
Yes.
This Mr. Williams.
Yes.
This guy sitting right over here.
Yes.
Thank you. Did you shoot Mr. Morgan?
No.
Thanks again.
Let me step down. Take a 15-minute recess.
Am I finished?
You're finished. And he's finished. Oh, he'll have his big show. Call every witness he can think of. Why not, Mrs. Masters? People of California will pay for it. The taxpayers, the square people, the working people, the boring people. They'll pay for it. They'll pay for his room and his board and his medical care and his dental care and his eye care for the rest of his life. How many people do you know who can afford an insurance policy like that? Hell of a system, isn't it? Go on home. Make fudge. Enjoy. It's over.
Nothing's over. It's like an unfinished conversation.
My name is David Jordan Williams. However, I've used approximately 90 different names during the past 23 years. I first met Hope Masters in 1965. She often stayed with me when I came to Los Angeles as the Regency Apartment Hotel. I first met Richard Morgan at an advertising convention in Chicago, long before I knew Hope. When I left the Illinois Research Hospital, I telephoned various friends of mine around the country, including Hope Masters. I was looking for a hiding place. 2 weeks later, I took over Richard Morgan's apartment in Los Angeles as a hideaway. I drove up to the ranch that Saturday to take pictures of the layout and explore the possibility of hiding out at the foreman's house, since he was about to be fired. I returned to the ranch at 10:30 on Sunday morning. Hope was hysterical. She was sitting in the orange grove. I couldn't make much sense of what she was saying, only that Richard's dead. She kept repeating it. Richard's dead. No, I did not kill Richard Morgan.
Madam Forelady, members of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty as charged. Murder in the first degree.
It never seems to occur to anybody that he let me stay alive because he thought I was a good person. A useful person. A valuable human being.
I brought all of it.